All right, that came out good. Rabbit rebate, right? This dude here. Large router, full speed, so it makes a good clean cut and minimal chatter. So, I don't know if that'll focus. Come on, focus. There we go. So now I'll cut a little sliver of wenge and do an, I don't know if it's called an inlay, maybe an inset right on that corner. Yeah. Whenever you're cutting small pieces like this, you must use a zero clearance insert or an auxiliary zero clearance like I have here. Mine has a cleat on it to keep it in place. And another form of a zero clearance here at the chop saw. Beautiful, perfect, clean cuts. For safety, you can see that piece of maple to the left as I make the cut. And even though those cuts are pretty clean, I want to follow that up with a shooting board and a shooting plane. This amazing shooting board, I absolutely love this thing, is made by Tico Vote. I'll have a link in the description. And I realize that won't show up on camera, but it is beautiful. If you're deciding to be a woodworker, you might want to think about investing in 3M. All right, fantastic. So this has dried overnight, got all the blue tape peeled off. You can see there's glue all over, and there's, this is, wenge is proud, slightly proud. So we'll get that all that flushed up and then chamfer it. And then this thing will be ready for a finish, conversion varnish. But yeah, should look good. It'll offer some protection. And primarily, as I mentioned earlier, if you saw the video, this veneer on top won't show end grain because of this piece that I added here. So that was kind of the objective of adding this little detail. So yeah, I like it. Hey Ramon, how are you going to get all that wenge flushed up? With a scraper or a hand plane? Nope. With a belt sander, right? So one thing that will help you immensely when you're using a belt sander and keep the back wheel from digging in is you'll see when I'm sanding this flush, I have this belt sander way out here, just about this tipping point or this balance point where this thing is going over the edge. And by doing that, it mitigates or eliminates me putting any pressure on this back wheel, which can dig in right here and cause a gouge. So I can still see some of my pencil line. So if I can still see some of my pencil line, I haven't sanded much of this veneer. What I have done is I've got this wenge down flush with this surface. So hope that helps. So I don't know if you can see, but that wenge strip is dead flush with that. This is 120 grit. I'll switch to a 180 grit just to further refine and get some of those 120 grit scratches out. There's a couple of little areas. There was like a little knot right there, so that needs a little bit of attention. But overall, this is pretty good. There's a little bit of glue right there. But this low raking light, it reveals all the flaws, whether they're yours or Mother Nature's. Is that a thing? Yeah. At this point, at this stage, everything's flushed up and it's sanded to 180. It's not finished sanded, but it's close. So now we can hit it with this 45-degree chamfer bit, go all the way around the perimeter, knock this down at a 45 degree, of course, and then we can start fine sanding, fine tuning everything. At this stage, you got to really be careful, because if you go deeper than the wenge, then you'll have to get the walnut sanded back down. This is a veneer. It's pretty substantial. It's 16th of an inch thick, 1.5 millimeters or whatever. So I'm not worried that we don't have enough material to do that. I just don't want to do that if I don't have to. So I'm going to sneak up on getting this walnut and this wenge right at that intersection, or that junction, that to create a crisp eris. So it's always important to do a climb cut or a reverse cut when you don't want to take any chances of something tearing out, in addition to that router bit being newish and sharp. You probably can't see this on camera, on video, but so this top veneer, this top walnut, and this wenge, right where that transition happens, that is beautiful, perfect. It come right to a perfect transition. Right here, you can see that, well, maybe you can't see, but the walnut is slightly proud of that wenge all the way down. So super easy fix. And just take my light, keep an eye on that, and just scrape that, something like that. And this rubber is kind of formed to that radius, something like that. That is looking beautiful. Real quick, I wanted to show you how I made this. So this is, the main part of this is 5/8 Baltic birch, 16 millimeter Baltic birch. I went around the perimeter with walnut, this piece here. I was able to put this veneer on top, or on, this is actually at the bottom, and this veneer on simultaneously in a vacuum bag. And this is actually just a backer veneer, but that keeps this from warp. If I just covered one side, this could have a tendency to want to warp. This backer veneer keeps it stable. The grain direction of this plywood is running this way, 90 degrees to the backer veneer, and of course to the top veneer. Once that was done, then I added these little strips. This is what we call a buildup. In the countertop industry, that's a buildup. And that serves the purpose of creating an area that is flush with this piece, and then the cabinet is, somewhere in this location. So this is what you see as this buildup from underneath. And this guy, this serves several purposes. I've got that in backwards. Actually goes like this. First of all, you can see all the screws that will attach to this top. And the reason I'm doing that is because once this gets installed onto the sideboard, I can glue this down. This is raw, it's not going to be finished. I can glue this down, and then I can come back up with screws into this. I put loads of screws. This thing is sewn on because inevitably what somebody will do is they'll try picking up this sideboard by the countertop. They're not thinking, or they don't know. And I don't want that to come loose. So the reason I'm not finishing this is because I want this smooth. This also serves as a glide where the top of the drawers will run. And so I needed that smooth. I don't want lacquer on that. So anyway, that's the purpose of that. In addition, these also have this little magnetic catch. That's what this little counter bore is right there. And then this little dude is actually, that's not going to work that way. I got to do it. Oh, here, I'll just grab one of these. You see that comes up, magnet. And of course, this key will activate that from the other side. So if I can get that to come out. There we go. And then the latch and the key. So this guy is doing a few things. And then of course I just hollowed it out to where it's, makes it a little bit more lightweight. So hope that makes sense. And man, that was probably really boring. This cabinet looks kind of odd because I know that there's drawers going that way and then there's doors on this side. But in the space, it makes sense. There's a wall here. This is open on this side as you come into the room. There's a couch going that way, and there's a space, a small space here, and a couch going that direction. And these drawers only need to open up a small amount because it's just for remote controls. So in the space, it works. So real quick, I wanted to show you. So once these drawers go in, I put these threaded inserts with fine thread, and then these have bumpers on them. So these are actually adjustable because of that threaded part. And so when this drawer goes in, I can adjust these to make sure that this lines up exactly how I want with the drawer fronts. And then this piece that I had showed you earlier, let me anchor that real quick. In reality, this will get glued and screwed down, which will make this carcass very rigid. Okay, and then these little magnets. Then the top. Like that, and then I can come back up from underneath and anchor that down. Then once the drawers go in, if you want to pull them out all the way, you can see how they're made. Matter of fact, let me put this one in. That latch is now up. I can get past that back part of the drawer. Once it's in place, that drops back down, and the drawer only opens up this much, which is the allowable space for the whatever you're going to put in there, the remote controls. And then if you need to access the back, this will find its latch, and there you go. There's the access, right? And then we know where that lives. But yeah, that's how those work. Here's a finishing tip for you. So this is a conversion varnish, and this would also work with a catalyzed lacquer. So I've got, this is actually feels pretty good. You can hear it, it's smooth. Right here is just a little bit of, it could have been dust, it could be overspray, but I can just hit it with this maroon Scotch-Brite. It slightly dulls it, and then I can just take, this is dampened with lacquer thinner, go over that, let that flash over. I've already done this side here, and then you can burnish it back to the sheen you need with a terry cloth. And I know it's not going to show up on camera, on video, but it works excellent. I had a little bit here as well. I can just burnish that back and blend that sheen. Yeah. All right, there you have it. I hope you found these videos useful. I would absolutely appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe. And also let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see. I would love to make more of these in-depth tutorials. So anyway, thanks a ton for watching. Ciao.